welcome to True Crime Storytime with me, Cindy. A little about me. I am fanatical about true crime. I am very curious into the minds of serial killers, what drives someone to do what they do. I have been angry, I have been heartbroken, I've been hurt. Never in my wildest imagination would I seek revenge enough to take their life. So that draws me into the psychology of serial killers. I'm not the only one. There's a whole lot of us out there who are really into true crime. So welcome to my channel, and I hope you stick around and click that subscribe button and join me on this journey of true crime. Today I want to talk about Charles Frederick Rodgers. I came across this case and thought, interesting, for a number of reasons. Okay, so this is dubbed the Icebox Murders. It is a little gruesome, and sit back and enjoy. Let's dive into this case. Charles Frederick Rodgers was born on the 30th of December in 1921, and he disappeared in June the 23rd, 1965. He is an American pilot and the only murder suspect in this case. Charles disappeared in June 1965 after police discovered the dismembered bodies of his elderly parents in the refrigerator of the Houston home that all three shared, in what the media later dubbed the Icebox Murders. Charles has never been found and was declared dead in 1975. He remains the only suspect in the murders, which are still considered unsolved. Charles Rodgers enrolled at Texas A&M University in 1942, but later dropped out. He then enrolled at the University of Houston, where he earned a Bachelor of Science degree in nuclear physics. During World War II, Charles was a pilot in the United States Navy and also served in the Office of Naval Intelligence. After the war, he worked for Shell Oil for 9 years. He abruptly quit his job in 1957 without giving an explanation. Friends and associates of Charles later said that he was highly intelligent and has a talent for finding gas, oil and gold for the companies for which he worked. He also spoke 7 languages and had an interest in ham radios. By the mid-1950s, Charles joined the Civil Air Patrol, where he reportedly met David Ferrie, an alleged conspirator in the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. By 1965, Charles was unemployed and living with his elderly parents, Fred Christopher, born on the 19th of January 1884, and Edwina Rodgers, born on October the 8th, 1892, in the Montrose neighbourhood of Houston. Described as reclusive, Charles was reported to have communicated with his parents by way of notes slipped under the door. Neighbours were unaware that Charles even lived with his parents, as he generally left home before dawn and did not arrive home until after dark. On the 23rd of June 1965, 2 Houston police officers forced their way into the Rodgers home after Edwina's nephew, Marvin, reported that his phone calls to his aunt had gone unanswered for days. Upon entering the home, Police found nothing unusual, but did notice food sitting on the dining room table. One officer opened the refrigerator and found what appeared to be numerous cuts of washed, unwrapped meat neatly stacked on the shelves. The officer later recalled that he thought the meat was that of a butchered hog. As the officer was closing the door, he noticed 2 human heads visible through the clear glass of the vegetable bin. The heads were that of Fred and Edwina Rodgers. What the officer initially thought was unwrapped cuts of hog meat were the couple's dismembered limbs and torsos. Police later discovered the couple's organs in a nearby sewer. The organs had been removed, cut up and flushed down the toilet, while other remains were never found. Police determined that Fred and Edwina Rodgers had been killed on the 20th of June, Father's Day. An autopsy showed that Fred was bludgeoned to death with a claw hammer. His eyes had been gouged out and his genitalia were removed. Edwina had been beaten and shot execution style in the head. Police further said that the bodies were dismembered in the upstairs bathroom by a person, quote, with some knowledge of anatomy, end quote. There was little blood in the house and it appeared it had been thoroughly cleaned after the murders. What little blood was found led to Charles's bedroom. There, police found a blood-stained keyhole saw, but no trace of Charles himself. A search for Charles was launched and a warrant was issued for him as a material witness to the crime, but he was never found. There were also allegations of involvement in the assassination of JFK. Charles Rodgers' life was documented in 1992 book The Man on the Grassy Knoll by John R. Craig and Philip A. Rodgers. According to this work, Charles Rodgers was a CIA agent who was postulated to have impersonated Lee Harvey Oswald in Mexico City, and along with Charles Harrison was one of the 2 shooters involved in the assassination of President Kennedy. The authors contend that Charles, Harrelson and Chauncey Holt were the 3 tramps arrested in Dealey Plaza after the assassination, and that Charles Rodgers murdered his parents because his mother was tracking his many telephone calls. In this account, Charles fled to Guatemala. Publishers Weekly reviewed the book, stating, quote, "The authors do a workman-like job with their thesis, but the degree of poetic license in terms of reconstructed dialogue and attributed thought seems excessive here, and sourcing is virtually non-existent. Assassination buffs, however, will welcome the book for its novelty value and its easy readability." End quote. In 1975, a Houston judge declared Charles Rodgers legally dead so his estate could be probated. The case still remains officially unsolved, and Charles Rodgers remains the only suspect. Houston forensic accountant Hugh Gardenia and his wife Martha have continued to investigate this case and concluded that Charles did murder his parents and was later killed himself in Honduras. While they have dismissed John R. Craig and Philip Rodgers' claim that Charles was a CIA operative due to a lack of evidence, they admit that Charles did have dealings with contract workers for the CIA when he worked at Shell Oil. The Gardenias believe that Charles planned the murder of his parents for years because his father was abusive and both parents were, quote, devious con artists. According to them, Fred worked as a bookie who regularly engaged in illegal activities such as gambling and fraud. They believe he continued abusing Charles into adulthood and had begun stealing large sums of money from Charles himself. The Gardenias claim that after Charles killed and dismembered his parents, he fled the US for Mexico and was never found because he was aided by, quote, powerful friends that he had met through his ham radio hobby and while working for various oil and mining companies. They have theorized that Charles eventually made his way to Honduras, where he was killed over a wage dispute with miners. In October 2003, Redwood Publishing released The Icebox Murders, a novel written by the Gardenias. According to a review in the Houston Press, the Icebox Murders is written as fact-based fiction and supposition. There are many unnamed characters in the book, various politicians and attorneys, as well as the eyewitness who said that he saw Charles Rodgers in Honduras after 1965, end quote. Publishers Weekly also referred to the novel as, quote, fact-based fiction, end quote. The house in which the murders took place was located at 1815 Driscoll Street. After the murders, the house remained empty and unsold. It was torn down in 1972. The lot remained empty until the year 2000 when condominiums were built on the lot. To you guys, did Charles kill his parents? There certainly seems to be a lot of evidence pointing that way, and various people believe that he did indeed kill his parents. What I find fascinating about this is that once we have victims of murder, then the abuse allegations come out. And I know we're going way back in time here, but it happens even in present day. They turn to blame abuse, and it doesn't seem to be any evidence pointing towards that he was abused. He was reclused, he was always in his room, he communicated with his parents by notes, according to this. So yeah, let me know your thoughts down below, guys. I love interacting with you, and I love to hear your thoughts and opinions. And I shall see you for another true crime story time very, very soon. Thank you for joining me. Have a great day and stay safe out there.